Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 23rd Annual St. Martin Book Fair. So this year's theme is Swaliga Flambeau. Beautifully captures our history and our future. The indigenous name for St. Martin represents our island, our people, our identity, Swaliga, and Flambeau, the torch that symbolizes the flame of literacy, creativity, knowledge, and cultural expression that has been nurtured and sustained here for more than 2 decades. For 23 years, the St. Martin Book Fair has been much more than a celebration of books. It has created spaces for meaningful dialogue, encouraged critical thinking, connected us with voices from across the Caribbean and the wider world. It has inspired generations of young people, and perhaps most importantly, it helped to cultivate a very vibrant and literary culture right here at home. This year's edition is especially significant. For the first time, the fair is dedicated exclusively to our local authors. What may once have seemed impossible is now a reality. The flame that was first lit years ago is now being carried forward by writers from right here, which is a testament to the vision, dedication, and perseverance that have defined the book fair since its inception. I have had the privilege of serving on the committee for the past 16 years. During that time, I have witnessed firsthand the passion, commitment, and collective effort that has sustained this institution and allowed it to flourish. This evening, I look forward to not only celebrating the fair's remarkable history, but also to explore stories, memories, and a vision beyond this journey. As we reflect on this journey, it is important to recognize that while every great movement begins with a vision, it is sustained by a community. The St. Martin Book Fair has thrived because of many individuals who have dedicated their time, talent, and energy to carrying the flambeau forward year after year. I am therefore delighted to be joined this evening by my fellow committee members, Miss Cindy Peters and Miss Merlin Joseph, who have been an integral part of the book fair's continued growth and success. Before we welcome our featured guest, the founder, Mr. Shuja Ref, I would like to invite Miss Cindy Peters to share a few reflections on her own experience with the book fair, what being a part of this journey has meant to her, and what this year's theme represents from her perspective. Cindy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Odeli, for that wonderful introduction. I think you really bring life to what the vision is for this book fair because, as we said, you said you've served 16 years, and that tells to the testament of our growth and that tradition that we train others to carry on that legacy. And I won't also mention that the new generation is a part of the book fair in the name of Anera. She also, your daughter, which participates with us every year and is so excited to be a part of our volunteer team. But for me, the book fair really, when I started out, was more of me thinking that I was giving, my talents and skill sets to the St. Martin Book Fair. But what I got was so much more. The book fair really opened my eyes to the dynamics of the literary fabric of this country. It gave me, I would say, inspiration to what could be possible for even me to participate and be a part of this literary world. And I think that what the book fair stands for not only me, but for St. Martin, is something that we should be very proud of. People say you don't have to toot your own horn, but I think that is something that we really need to hone in on and celebrate because 23 years is a very, very long
Yep.
time.
Mhm.
It's a very long time. And our captain, as we would say, Suja, he really laid the groundwork, right? And I think at this point, he says, you guys, you just go with it and make sure that it's the best book fair ever.
Yep.
Every year is the best book. Every year is the best book fair ever. But yes, so the book fair has a very special place in my heart. Is a space where I can give back to my community because we are all volunteer team, and this is just my little home, my little family, I would say, in my part of my giving back to St. Martin. So the book fair have a very special place to me. And I just look forward to many more years. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve among such a wonderful, talented, and intellectual bunch of people, to really, give space and give a platform to St. Martin authors, artists. And I believe that this is a space that we all should be a part of. So we're also going to use this opportunity to ask for more volunteers because, you know, we can always have more volunteers and just join, and you just join. I asked Suja to be a part of this team. Actually, I said, "Can I help out? I don't mind giving my time and my energy, but I've got so much more. I've got new friends and family members. I would say being a part of the St. Martin Book Fair. What also stands out to me is I would say the family reunion that occurs of those authors in the region that come, consistently to our book fair. Our brothers and sisters from Anguilla, from Guadeloupe, and from Martinique, and Antigua as well, that continuously support the book fair on a consistent basis, and that too extends our book fair family throughout the region. And I know Suja always tells us when we're traveling around the region, call this person and call that one, because we have book fair family members, throughout the globe, I would say. So I enjoy my time here. That would be my contribution for the beginning of this conversation. Yes.
Thank you, Cindy, for those thoughtful reflections. Your words remind us that a book fair is not simply an annual event, but a living legacy built by people just like us who believe in the power of stories, literacy, and cultural expression. Um, and to build on what you mentioned, we need volunteers. Remember, many hands make light work, and teamwork makes this dream work every single year. So if you have a few hours on Saturday or Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, whatever you can, please reach out to Shuja, and we'll coordinate to have you a part of our team for this book fair. But speaking of legacy, there's no one better suited to help us reflect on the past, celebrate the present, and look toward the future than the person who first imagined what the St. Martin Book Fair could become. It is my pleasure to welcome the founder of the St. Martin Book Fair and the Conscious Lyric Foundation, Mr. Shuja Ref. Shuja, thank you for joining us as we celebrate this year the remarkable growth of our local literary voices. Let's go back to the beginning. When you first envisioned the St. Martin Book Fair more than 2 decades ago, what was the flame you hoped to ignite here?
First of all, let me say thank you very much to you ladies who have made the book fair what it is. Odelia, you shocked me when you said that 16 years. I mean,
Right?
it's, it seems like yesterday,
Yes.
and 16 years have rolled over already. And you ladies have put in a whole lot of work and making this book fair what it is. So I want to say a big thank you. I think the thank you should come from me first. Um, Now, let's go back to when we started. Um, Back 23 years ago. When we started then, 23 years ago, I couldn't envision that I would have made so many friends, not just in the region, but in the world. We have had writers that come from far as Australia and as close as Sabre or Anguilla, whichever one is closer. Okay? Um, And over that period of time, we have exchanged, because the technology permits us today to exchange email, exchange Facebook, and we stay in touch with WhatsApp, and we stay in touch with each other all the time. They probably wouldn't be come back up to us from Australia right away, but they share with us what they have been doing in Australia. They share it, they share their work with us. So that's a positive. I couldn't envision that. However, the idea was to promote literature and promote St. Martin literature. The article came out earlier June this month, well, last month, in June now, that a few weeks ago that we had like 3 authors from St. Martin at the book fair, and I remember that well. Louis Levis was among them, Daniela Jeffrey was among them, and Lasana Siku was among them. Now, after that, the other authors that were there was the great George Lemon. We started off a book fair having somebody as good as George Lemon at our first book fair. We had this young poet from I can't remember his name right now, from Barbados, who was here with us. We had the brother from St. Lucia who was here with us. So the book fair started off at a good pace in terms of the regional writers that came, and it made me feel good. Now, I am not a cry person, but that book fair was my birthday weekend. The first book fair was my birthday weekend. And I remember after the Saturday night, we went to Sherry's Cafe. And a group of them just went in the back and get some kind of cake thing with a candle on it and just come and everybody started singing happy birthday. It touched me profoundly. I could never forget that. That was the first book fair. And I cried. Honestly, I cried because the idea wasn't to celebrate my birthday, because I wasn't even telling people it was my birthday. Okay? The idea was to celebrate literature. But they felt so good coming at the book fair. So can you imagine George Lemon saying happy birthday fair? So that part was real cool. And I'm sure Aya would agree with me that we miss Sherry's Cafe, because that's where we used to culminate. That's where we used to culminate our book fair.
Oh, yeah.
That was the party, the after party of the book fair was there. So we started that way. We started that 23 years ago. The first book fair we concluded at Sherry's Cafe, and that was a nice little celebration of Caribbean writers coming together and having fun and laughing. I remember the minister of St. Kitts, the Honorable Jacinth Henry Martin, was Minister of Culture at the time in St. Kitts. She had just published a book, and she delivered a keynote address for the opening of the book fair. So we started off with a woman delivering the keynote address. That's how good the book fair started. Okay, and she's the one. She's gonna do a dance for you tonight at Sherry's Cafe. So that was fun, and the band played some good soca music, and we had fun, and I left there feeling good. That wow, we started something on a high note, and over that 23 years, I don't think we have had a bad book fair. I mean, I think every book fair was better than the next one. And people think I'd be joking when I say that, because every book fair have its own specialties. Everybody got a favorite that they would say was their favorite book fair when this author was there or when that author was there. I've heard people say that, but all of them was my favorite. It's like how the parents can't choose their best child. I can't choose the best book fair. To me, all of them was my favorite, and I enjoyed them all. And I'm happy that we had opportunity to put this together, and we're going along still. And this year is a special year for us because we're doing something special in terms of recognizing the St. Martin authors. We had, 3 authors then? You got over 50 authors in St. Martin today. That's a plus.
Amazing.
However, I would want to say, I would encourage the young ones and those who, not only the young ones, everybody who's writing, to come to the various workshops, because you're going to learn more. It's going to help you with your writing. It's going to help you with your work, and you're going to be able to produce better work if you come to the various workshops that we're going to have at the book fair. So that yes, I would encourage that.
Okay. So, you spoke about the first book fair and how it made you feel. Back then, did you imagine that we'd be here 23 years later?
I am the type of person, I gotta say this one, but see what I think about, right? I tell people, let me just say, the only place I didn't have staying power was staying married. But that's not determined by me. That wasn't determined by me. That was determined by 2 people, okay? but I am very much committed to things. And if I had the last word, I would have stayed married. Honestly, I get when I commit myself, and I just throw it out there. I mean, people take it how they want. Okay. But I'm just saying the truth because that's how I am. When I commit myself to something, I commit myself to it for the rest of my time. I think I'm a person with a lot of patience. So I could put up with certain foolishness sometimes and know that that'll pass and that'll get better. So yes, if you ask me if I would say in the book fair, I really think the book fair should be forever. That's how I see it. Not just Shuja doing it for 23 years and Shuja to the head of it for 23 years. No, not that. When Shuja dead and gone 100 years from now, that we have a book fair and they say, well, that book fair started back in the early 2000s and is still living today, and 100 years later. I would love that. Um, and we have produced more writers because we got stories to tell.
Yeah.
So yes, I am the type of person who believe that staying power is important. We try our best, no matter what, no matter the conditions, no matter how the sponsorship funds come in, no matter how many people we got to volunteer. We try our best all the time to have a book fair. Okay? And that's important to us. Okay? And I include when I say us, I mean all of us around this table, around the Zoom conversation now, and the others who are not here. Everybody commit themselves and volunteer their service. And personally, as head of this, I don't take that for granted. I never take that for granted because you could find time to spend and do other positive things with your life and not come to a book fair. I mean, while a book fair is a positive thing also, okay? But you could tell me, Shuja, I want to spend some time with my family. I'm not going to do book fair this year. But no, y'all always still show up and do book fair, and I'm so proud of that. And I'm so happy to have a team that could make this book fair last forever. Yes, we need volunteers. We need some more volunteers because the 16 years and double your age, put the numbers a little higher.
I started at 10. I started at 10, so I have a
Yeah. I agree. So, and your daughter started at 0. So
she
she's
actually
10,
did.
and she's 10 this year, so she got 10 years too. Yeah.
Okay, so I
Yeah,
want to keep,
that's good.
In the theme of the flame and lighting that first flame. What need did you see in St. Martin at a time that convinced you that a book fair was necessary?
It started actually with a writer's workshop we were doing with Lasana, with the House of Nehesi. It was a 6 months course, very good course. I must admit it have helped me with my writings a lot, even though I don't write a lot like before. And and after that, because I was telling Lasana, we have a publishing house in St. Martin that ain't doing too bad in terms of publishing other people from outside of St. Martin, in terms of getting attention internationally. So I was telling Lasana, we need to do a book fair. We need to do a book fair. And he keep on saying, yeah, man, we are doing it. And then the year when we did the workshop concluded, I said, Siku, with or without you, we start the book fair this year. And let me tell you, we had very little time to organize it. I remember the writers' workshop was going to finish like the end of May, and we decided we're going to do the book fair in June. And we really pulled together quick. I still tease my nephew because my nephew was the only driver we had. And I always say, we almost kill him that weekend because you just call him to go pick up people at the hotel at the same time. You have to call him to pick up somebody at the university, and it was back and forth. So, and today we have many people who drive and pick up different people. This year it's a little less because everybody have their own vehicle, and most of the writers, all the writers are from St. Martin. So we don't have that challenge like when we have writers come from the abroad. But that was part of the challenge though. And then came the committee, and then came some more volunteers, and then came you ladies who joined and who's staying with us up to this day. A number of people passed through the book fair. And I got to give them credit for when they were there, and I thank them for when they were there. Other people went on and had a family and still in this issue. I have 2 kids now. I can't volunteer as much as I want to, but I'm always there with you guys in spirit, and whatever you need me to do outside of this, I could do it. I get that kind of feedback because the time spent at the book fair was not wasted time. It was good time. And Cindy said it earlier that she's so happy she have gained more than just being on a committee. And I'm sure all of y'all could say that because I have gained more than just being on a committee.
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay, thank you. So we lit the flame. Now the flame has been kept alive for 23 years. What kept the flame burning through all these years?
You guys. Honestly, you guys is what kept the flame burning. I couldn't do it alone. I still can't do the book fair alone. So it's all of us what kept the flame burning. And then the discussions about the different theme. Let me tell you how this theme came up. It's always, I try my best to be as open and as democratic as possible, not because Shuja got the experience and Shuja have been running consciousness for over 30 years and Shuja have been organizing other lectures and Shuja think he knows it all. I don't do things like that. Okay? I'm forceful in some argument that I believe in. And I always say this, and I don't have a problem saying it now, that the book fair is an anti-colonial book fair. So we don't tolerate certain things. But we was having a conversation among some book fair committee members, Cindy, myself, at one of the first meetings. And I asked for people to send in names of suggestions of how we're going to, what theme we're going to use this year. And Cindy sent something saying, the flame. And then I say, that sounds interesting. It really is, it's a flame that we have lit and we need to pass it on. But then I said, let's give it a better twist. We always look for twists, right? So I say, let's just say flambeau. God, that sounds sweeter to me. That sounds sweeter to me. So I discussed it back with him. Flambeau comes from the Creole word, flame. It's flambeau. It's a Creole word. And since we do all the languages, and then Cindy came back with a suggestion saying, I saw an email saying, we should have Swaliga flambeau. So what you do is you include the history one time, the history of the name, the original name of the land, which is Swaliga, and then we have it with flambeau. So it's a combination of the flame, but we just didn't take the flame from here. We take the flame from way back. So we went back to the original. Yeah. And it's part of what Nasana have done in the House of Nehesi with putting the Caribbean Literature Day together.
Yes.
He used that date of the original people, the Maya people who was here and who have carved texts and stone and said, on this date, their library was born on the 10th of July, way back.
12th. The 12th.
Okay? Okay, the 12th, sorry, the 12th of July.
12th, yeah.
The 12th of July, sorry, excuse the date. The 12th of July, their library was burned and destroyed the literature. And he used that date and he said, we should recognize Caribbean literature because we didn't have a Caribbean Literature Day. We have an International Literature Day. Caribbean literature is good enough for us to say that we need to recognize it and have a special day for it. So we kind of did that with Swaliga Flambeau. We went back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And come forward because the flame didn't start with us, the flame started with them. We're just carrying on the flame now. We are passing through. And that's why I say I'm hoping that we manage to put it in the hands of another generation that would carry it on to another generation and we continue writing our text and telling our stories. That's the whole idea of how Swaliga Flambeau was born. And I'm proud of Cindy to come up with the title of Flame.
Well, let me give credit where credit is due, because this is a collective effort. So, Lasana did actually um, say, you know what? Yes, Flambeau is great, but if we're really going to focus on Saint Martin literature, then we should add the Swaliga to it. So he's the one who actually add Swaliga to it. But I like the fact that you brought up the idea that we do this collectively. It's not one person who makes decisions. It's not one person who is, the dictator of the group, but we try to do so in a collective manner with the decisions that we make, whether it's naming or the planning or getting a venue location for the book fair. It's important for our audience to know that this is a collective effort. That we respect each other's ideas, and we try to. I mean, let's say this: we just have our little tussles, right? Because that's what it's about when you're trying to, when you're passionate about, what we want to
Very
see in the
passionate.
end.
Hmm.
Yes, we're very passionate sometimes about our position on things, but overall, it's a collective effort. And I also wanted to input here as well the semiotic relationship that the book fair has with the House and the Hasty publishers, right? That they also continuously, work alongside us. And Suja kind of began with that in the beginning when he talked about how him and Lasana really tried decided, what, we need to make an adjustment to what our literary fabric looks like right now, and how we can improve it. And I think this space or this time is another, I would say, injection, another push to see how much more we can do, given, what has gone before, and, the writers that we have now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I gotta agree with you on that. Um, I want to go back to what you said in terms of it's not a one man or one woman decision. It's a collective effort, and I wouldn't do it no differently. I wouldn't want to do it no differently either, because your ideas, one idea is just one idea, but when it's collective, you tend to get a broader picture of the thing, and how you see it and how I see it sometimes will differ. But when we find a ground, a middle ground, we could agree. I did not thought of the Heritage Village when we wanted to do the opening. I didn't thought of it. That was all Cindy's idea. And and I
I
think
think
it's
it's
the best
perfect.
place. Yeah, it's the best place. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. And
Going to the
over the
beginning.
years, yeah, over the years we have opened the book fair in so many places. Airport, port, uh, um, um, car showroom, um, everywhere we have been to, um, and had book fair opening. So that's that's
The time is right now.
yes,
I
yeah.
don't think
We've
there
been
would
we've
have
been
been
to the we've
another
been
time that would have, best suit that location than right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, we've been to the gym in La Savane. I always give this story about this gentleman who walked to the book fair at La Savane, and when we was there, and he come to me after the fair and he said, "I'm glad you bring it to I'm glad you bring it to our um our village.
Mhm.
I could have walked to it." Because sometimes we don't think of the person who don't have a vehicle and who can't get out there late at night. Because
Hmm.
all of us have vehicles, so we just think it's a normal thing. But he he um he um he couldn't get to the book fair, and he always hear it advertised on the radio, and yeah, an older person. And he said, "I'm so happy I brought it to my village that I could have walked to it." Now, we just know that we need to take the book fair to different villages. We have had reading on a boardwalk, with black Car Street, and read in the middle of the street.
Dutch
Uh,
border,
yeah,
Cooper
everywhere.
pie.
Yeah, everywhere. Cooper and at the
Yeah.
university.
Hmm.
Everywhere we have taken the book fair, in almost every village in the place. I tell people I'm from Rambo, I'm from Freetown. Unfortunately, we're gonna space up here to put it, but I would gladly have a book fair in Freetown any day.
Mm-hmm.
The day we put a center, we have some place we could organize it up here. We'll do that. I tell people, however, though, it's very expensive when you gotta build up everything. When you gotta bring a tent, and you gotta bring all the chairs, you gotta build a
Yeah.
stage. The book fair have enough budget for that sometimes, so that's why we don't do it like that. We try to find a venue that already have certain things in place that it could be a little cheaper for us to organize it.
Yeah.
We're still looking for sponsorship. Let me just say that too. That we are always looking for sponsorship, and I know other organizations is the same like us. We have tried our best, and we have had some consistent sponsors who have been with us for all these years, and we are very thankful for them.